Hey, it's time for another episode of The Tech. Are you ready to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Is this the episode of The Tech where we learn that I'm just your ventriloquist voice?
I don't know what you're talking about. and that's why you never come out from behind these monitors. How did I get behind these monitors? Where am I?
It costs too much to animate me, so we just use the behind the monitor shot because those costs are expensive.
Where could I possibly be right now? Let's talk about I have no idea. We didn't do a tech this week, but this is going to be our tech this week, but I think it's going to end up happening next week.
We're going to have two techs really close together, in other words.
That's what we'll do to make up for it. So we're going to be going to the Rally Against Mass Surveillance on October 26, 2013 at 4:07 in the mornings. We're going to get there probably. And Kane is going to meet me there. We're going to run around.
Crazy.
So if you guys are going to be there, look for us. Now here's what I'm going to do. Everyone should run around with our Epic Pants. We got Epic Pants. And we've been restocking this, so you guys have been grabbing them up like crazy. We also have new mugs and new beer glasses. So there you go. But what I wanted to say is, if you guys show up and you're wearing one of our shirts, I want to make sure that, we're not, if you're showing up wearing one of those, I don't want to make any money on the shirt. I'll give you some money back. So the first 20 people that find us wearing either the George Washington shirt, or you know what, hell, any of the shirts, I'll give you guys $5 cash. And I'm only going to carry 25s. Not 25, just $25 bills, and then you can have them.
$25 bills. There's probably a terrible pun in that.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Also, we're going to be giving away a Mionix AVR 8200 later in the show. Right now, you can click on the screen to check out our video. It's an ambidextrous gaming mouse, 8200 CPI sensor. It's also got an ARM processor. It's pretty crazy, but later on, I'll tell you how to win one of these. Total Biscuit. Let's talk about this really quick. A lot of people say this is a video game thing, but I don't think it's a video game thing. I think this is a, Digital Millennium Rights Act thing, and I want to just take a second to yell and scream about the Digital Millennium Rights Act because it affects all of the YouTubers out there. It affects especially the small ones, because the small ones can get shut down and they don't have a voice that's loud enough to raise hell. Total Biscuit, he can raise hell because he has 1.2 million, 1.25 million subscribers. So here's what happened. He made a video about the game Day One Gary's Incident. Now the developer of the video, or the developer of the game, gave him a serial number, and he understood what he did. You guys can watch the video. I'm not going to get into it, but essentially they didn't like what Total Biscuit had to say, so they abused the Digital Millennium copyright garbage and took his video down. They're using it as a form of censorship, and YouTube is pretty much allowing this to happen. They've set the system up, and there's no real punishment for doing something like this. If they do it, it goes back and forth and argue. By default, the video comes offline, and this is his livelihood. This is our livelihood. If someone, didn't agree with what we said, they could use that same system to censor us. It's not about copyright anymore. It can be used to censor, and they are not punished for this. I mean, I guess Total Biscuit could take him to court, really.
Oh, well, that's already happened. Remember, about 4 episodes ago, there was a guy that was, there was two women that were in a spat about something, and they used the DMCA abuse, and it went all the way to the court, and the court was like, there's no repercussions.
What can we possibly do? I want some ideas of what we can do, because I think it's really awesome that Total Biscuit made a video. The video basically makes everyone really angry at the guys who made Day One Gary's Incident, and shows what a total idiot the president of that company is. But I want to attack this stupid DMCA nonsense.
Well, the DMCA makes it really, like, suppose that you were in a city and suppose that you witnessed a crime or an injustice that was perpetrated by a corrupt system. Well, if you weren't well known and you were to publish that to YouTube, they could shut it down immediately through a DMCA thing. And this is a problem if citizen journalism is a thing. And this is a problem if one citizen can enlighten their whole community about news. This guy's lucky because he's got a huge community. We're lucky because, we've got a community. But if this happens to smaller people, they can't fight it. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, so I don't really have a good idea, and I hate feeling like, there's no solution to this. There has to be some sort of solution. So I'm asking you guys to drop in the comments and just say, what can we do to raise enough hell to make this go away? Because the DMCA nonsense has to die. It has to. We should start a movement or something.
Well, I think that, if you created your YouTube account 5 minutes ago and you get an automated takedown, maybe that's a thing. But for channels that are years old and are well established, those almost require human review of DMCA takedowns, because there's no way that can be a truly automated system.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is that when someone takes down your video, you have to prove your innocence, and the video is down the entire time that this is happening. When you're fighting this stuff, it's not going to be up to the courts in the first stage. It's up to the other players or the person who submitted the notice to release the notice. That's the first problem. So they have to release the notice. We just have to redo it. Anyway, I'm going to move on right now, but you guys should definitely check out the Total Biscuit video. I think everyone on the planet already has seen this video, but if you hadn't, go ahead and check it out. And
remember not to buy this game.
Don't buy this game from these jackasses. Windows 8.1 is out, and we've got a Windows 8.1 video coming up. There's a few new things. I think it's still pretty terrible, but it's a lot better. It's a lot less terrible. That's the name of this new video. What do you think?
I'm personally insulted that they removed Shadow Copy, and they didn't put it back with 8.1, so I am doubly insulted.
But the functionality's still there.
Yes, the underlying functionality is still there, so any sort of arguments about making it more optimized or efficient is just farcical.
Because it's still going to do all the stuff that Shadow Copy did, but just without the front end. We're going to show you guys how to get another front end. There's a front end that's out there that you can install to re-enable some of the Shadow Copy functionality, but it should have been in the... Why did they take it out in the first freaking place?
You have to re-enable the daily snapshots manually, which is irritating and annoying, but whatever, I'll do it. It's fine.
We'll get into that into the Windows 8 video. A lot of the other features that they've added allow you to access your data from multiple areas or multiple locations. It basically takes your personal account and throws a lot of stuff and your files onto a cloud, but we'll talk about that in the video, and the rest of the options or the rest of the changes are by and large pulchritutinous.
Yeah, they also took out the being able to restore your system from a backup image, which was for backward compatibility with Windows 7, but the most interesting thing is the new file backup system that replaces Shadow Copy really isn't any more sophisticated than Xcopy and Atrib, so good luck with that.
I forgot how sweet soda was. This is sweet.
It's also filled with caffeine.
Samsung has offered to end the mobile patent wars, kinda, sorta. They've thrown out a few rules, and as long as people adhere to their little rules that they threw out there, they said they are not going to initiate any patent lawsuits or any, I guess they're not going to be seeking any injunctions on any other companies that are using their patents. But you got to read into this. They're not actually offering to end mobile patent wars. They're still going to crack down if people are not following their rules. So you guys can check it out there if you're interested in that. But it is a step in the right direction, kind of, sort of. All right. Eric Schmidt's face is all over Google+. And this is in protest to the new Google+ terms of service, which is pretty freaking difficult to understand. Google's typically more straightforward than a lot of different companies when it comes to the terms of service. But here's what's going on. They've got this new ad thing where your face and your name will appear in advertisements to your friends saying that you endorse X, Y, and Z. Now, it will not be random. Like, if you're, a metalhead, it's not going to be like, hey, John Metalhead loves Britney Spears. It's not going to do that. But if you did, put a plus or whatever on something like Twix bars, it'll say, hey, John likes Twix bars. He thinks you should eat one. And it'll be like your picture. So everyone's changing their picture to Eric Schmidt. So Eric Schmidt's face is appearing all over the place, endorsing all sorts of things. So if you want to have some fun, change your picture to Eric Schmidt. And if you want to opt out, you can. You need to go over to your ad settings page, and then you can see a lot of interesting information about yourself on this page, like what Google thinks you are as far as your age and your gender. I think Pistol is a guy because she plays games that Google thinks guys should be playing. It's terrible.
Oops.
I'm wondering how many girls are out there that watch the show that Google thinks is a guy, because Google says, hey, like 94% of your audience is dudes. I wonder how many are mislabeled women because they play violent video games that girls shouldn't play because girls have to play with ponies and pink things. Because we live in
There's some bronies that would like a word.
Hey, we got pink things. Yeah, they're the fringe as well. But anyway, you go down to the bottom, and there's opt-out settings. You just click opt-out, and I'm doing it right now for the Tech Syndicate video account. And now it's opted out, so excellent. There's a link in the description for that. Be sure to opt out or change your picture to Google, or to Google's CEO, Eric Schmidt.
Facebook did this like 5 years ago, and then they were auto-liking things for people, so you would see things that people liked that they didn't really
still
like.
Do that, right? Or do they not?
They probably still do that in some surreptitious way, but, officially they got in trouble for it and got fined.
Google Fiber, more Google. This is some good news. Google Fiber now explicitly allows servers.
This is not really news, I don't think, because their AUP said no servers, but if you called and talked to them and dealt with them, it was like, no, you want to run a VPN server, you want to run this. They're really talking about commercial usage, and they haven't figured out how to crack the nut on commercial usage. Because with commercial usage, when we're talking about a gigabit, somebody can, stand up a server farm in their basement and make a whole lot of money with that gigabit connection. That's what they're worried about.
Why would that be bad? I mean, it's going to put some server companies out of business, but...
It would put a lot of server companies out of business, and that's probably a good thing. But Google's probably also not prepared for that level of traffic on their residential network. I'm not trying to be a Google apologist, but they are residential class connections, and differentiating between a residential class connection and a commercial class connection is something that's been happening since the 80s. And so if we're going to continue that trend, it's probably okay. But Google had better get their ass in gear and roll out a commercial alternative in areas where they have a fiber connection.
This will be good for gaming servers, and it'll be good for like personal backup servers. And if you wanted to run FreeNAS and FTP into it or something like that, or even SSH into your system at home, it'd be great for that. But I can't see it being, like you just said, good for anything more than that.
Yeah, they're basically saying those type of things have been okay all along. It's just the language wasn't clear.
And now it is clear. Let's talk about the NSA and security and privacy in the surveillance state. Unbreakable encryption comes to the U.S. I guess that means it would come to the rest of the world as well, because after it's created, it'll, of course, be rolled out. But this is in Ohio.
You are, of course, talking about quantum entanglement, which is only available to people that can afford quantum entanglement.
Yeah. So this
only
is
the rich shall have encryption.
If you're Tony Stark, what you do is you get yourself one of them entanglement things, and you get two encrypted areas, and they're both entanglemented. So, yeah, it basically just works with quantum entanglement. And the interesting thing here is that if it's tampered with along the way...
With public key encryption, you don't know if somebody's eavesdropped on the signal.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But this one, it's very easy to tell because everything is, sent through one photon.
The signal they send is such that if something eavesdrops on the signal, it will interfere with the signal, which is not true of classically transmitted data.
So it could be unbreakable in that sense.
Yes, but not widely available and not easily available.
Unless you're rich.
It's not for encryption to do its job. It's got to be ubiquitous and it's got to be easy, and this is neither of those things.
Well, it's too bad. We should build one of these in the basement.
In terms of does it benefit us? No, it doesn't. Not until you get one in your basement, and then maybe.
Yeah, we'll build one, and then that'll be right after we finish building the interocitor. How about this LavaBit honeypot that the FBI set up? You can go on here and change your password. I thought LavaBit was down.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's like, oh, we've got the SSH keys and the thing. I don't know if it's like they're letting people download their messages, I guess. But, I mean, it does seem an awful lot like a honeypot.
I wouldn't mess with this. I'm not sure if anyone said anything, but I don't care who said. I don't care if the owner of LavaBit comes out and says, no, it's cool. I'm not going to do it.
We're actually being trolled by the NSA web developers. This is actually the no-fly sign-up list.
Get your name on that.
They've got a really great newsletter.
Wow.
No-fly quarterly.
I wasn't in. I do everything I can to get published in your damn magazine. What do I have to do? When I just flew down here, I didn't have to take my shoes off.
That's amazing. Did you pay extra for that?
No, it's like I got in there and everyone's over there getting naked or whatever they do. There's everyone in line. They just take off everything. And they were like, no, leave everything on. Leave your laptop in your bag. Keep your shoes on. Everything's cool. And I was like, what? And I just zipped through and they're like, see ya. And I was
That's
like,
crazy. I have to pay extra for that when I fly.
I think it's a new thing.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe it had something to do with the government shutdown. They just got sick of it.
Although occasionally they swipe me down with swabs or something, and then some machine says I've been a naughty person. And then I have to go to the interrogation room. It's bad. It's very bad.
What have you been playing with in your basement?
Legos? I don't know.
Legos laced with? Oh, right. So when we build the Legos, it's really fun to make the Legos explode.
Legos is a code word for plastique. No.
Duplo is a code word for mentally challenged.
Honestly.
If you're a Duplo, that's just never mind. Secure Drop. Let's talk about Secure Drop and Schneer. I've forgotten everything now because this stuff is so sweet. It's gone in my brain and I've lost everything.
Secure Drop was actually designed by Aaron Schwartz,
and his legacy is living on now thanks to the the Freedom of the Press Foundation. So SecureDrop is a system that allows journalists to, or just regular people to submit information to various journalistic organizations securely.
It is a less egomaniacal version of WikiLeaks.
Yeah, that's all we need to say.
And newspapers can stand it up on their own site immediately.
So it's really cool to see that Aaron Schwartz's work is still alive, and and then some good's going to come of this. I think this is actually a much better thing than WikiLeaks, because the ego really makes that. It's WikiLeaks is to, that sort of thing as Mega is to file sharing.
I was invited to a screening of the Fifth Estate, and I actually went to watch it, and it was interesting because I didn't think it was quite that terrible. They left a lot of things out, but it was, I don't want to say that it was a fair movie and that it was a completely balanced movie, but they did a better job in those regards than I expected.
Some of the reviews I was reading said go for Cumberbatch, not for WikiLeaks.
Yeah, Cumberbatch is amazing. I mean, he really...
Better than Khan?
Wow. Well, because I'd seen the interviews.
I didn't like Khan, him and Khan very much.
No, I did not. Well, it's Star Trek. It's been erased from my mind already. But Assange, there was an interview with Assange that I saw, and at the end, he actually plays the exact interview, and the mannerisms and the tics and the facial expressions. I mean, he nails it. It's crazy.
Well done, then. Okay, this came out a few days ago, and we were going to put this in the tech last week, but I think it's still funny enough to mention. So the DOJ is arguing that no one has the standing to challenge metadata collection, even though they say that it's illegal for the government to do what it's doing. So no one's allowed to complain about this, but it is illegal for the government to do. I'm getting into the Lewis Black here.
Well, it's more insidious than that, because even if someone were able to show that they were harmed, even if they were, there's something about this case that even if you can show harm, the courts have already ruled on that point and said that you can't show harm on the collection of this kind of thing, because the collection of this type of thing is like a collection of business records or something like that. And so even if you had a cause here, you can't actually show harm. And this is crazy. And so this has led to a couple of constitutional law scholars arguing 3 or 4 different arguments that are brand new, never been tried, never before the Supreme Court, arguments of like a matrix effect in the Fourth Amendment and stuff like that. And I would really like to see that, codified in law, because I'm sure that the Founding Fathers never intended the government. I mean, the Constitution was created as a very specific set of limited powers for the government, and they're essentially arguing that they have unlimited surveillance powers. And I'm pretty sure that's not what was intended by the Founding Fathers.
I got a feeling that this is all about to break at some point, because it's tense. The media is being extraordinarily negative about it. I mean, CNN, NBC, while I'm traveling, every once in a while I'll pop on the television just out of curiosity to see what kind of slop, or actually on the airplane, I put on, I was watching Mad Money, but then whatever else came on after that, the media is being negative about the NSA, and I didn't expect that. I expected them to either leave it alone or not say anything. It's are they off their talking points, or is the government allowing them to say these things?
They were not negative at first, but they're going to get progressively more negative with each quarter, and I suspect the reason for this is because a lot of commercial companies in America are feeling the hurt of having the dollars that they have for international accounts go overseas. I mean, the Germans at this point are trying to figure out a way to re-engineer their corner of the internet so that German companies and German people can deal directly with one another and ensure that their traffic in the internet never leaves Germany to avoid the NSA, which is awesome, but also, how did we get here? We just screwed ourselves economically.
Nobody outside of the U.S. is going to want to have a server in the United States at all. And people inside the United States, they're going to want to have servers outside of the USA. So
Just look at what happened to Mega.
now they're .co.nz or not .nz.co, whichever one it is. And also, the core internet institutions are abandoning the U.S. government. So ICANN has pretty much been controlled by the U.S. government loosely for a long time, but they're leaving.
It would be awesome if we decentralized the domain name system. That would be great.
Who wants to leave? ICANN, but they've been trying to get away from the USA for years and years and years. But the USA's always been like .com, .everything, us, and they've also used that to claim ownership of a lot of the web, because they say, hey, we own all the ICANN stuff. The World Wide Web Consortium is moving away, and what's the other one? The IANA. That's the
Internet Assigned Numbers and Names Authority.
They're moving away, as is the Internet Engineering Task Force.
Can't say I blame them. About 5 years ago, the UN had some crazy plan that I didn't agree with for also moving away from U.S. control. But it was because the UN wanted to control it, and the UN doesn't have the technical chops to control it.
No, they had some really terrible ideas. I mean, like,
There are aspects of this that are really terrible. But, considering we've been caught with our hand in the cookie jar fiddling with things, I don't know that we deserve any less.
well, the United States, even though they've done a lot of stupid things, they have not censored the internet to the extent that I thought they would have with all the power that they have. They have a lot of power, and they could do more to censor the internet than they already do. And that's something that the UN was going to do. They were going to censor the internet a lot worse.
Yeah, that's true.
They were going to destroy the internet pretty much, turn it into broadcast cable television almost. And we've been seeing like bits and pieces of that around, people like proposing things.
Well, in the American industrial police situation, it's a lot more productive to send people to prison where they can work for $1 a day doing commercial things. That's how we make like 90% of our paint, as it turns out. Prison labor.
Yeah.
Because it's cheap.
On top of this, the NSA director, Alexander, he said he's going to be leaving. He's saying that has nothing to do with all the nonsense that's been coming out about him. And like, for instance, last week in the Senate, right? So the Senate Judiciary Committee, Leahy, backed him into a corner and said, hey, you say that 54 times you guys have stopped terrorist plots. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. And he made him admit that, no, that's actually a fudge. That's a number. That number's a lie. We didn't do that. It actually may be somewhere around 13 that they've found out, and most of those are not on U.S. soil, and the actual number is somewhere closer to 2 or 3.
Oops. Well, I mean, are we really surprised? I mean, Clapper lied to Congress, so I mean, the whole thing is so corrupt at this point that it's just the contempt that they have for the American people is just palpable.
Leahy backs him into a corner, and it's hilarious. The look on Alexander's face. So anyway, he's leaving next year and says it has nothing to do with any of this, and his deputy is going to be leaving shortly after that. So that could be a good chance for the U.S. to come in and restructure all this nonsense that's making the rest of the world hate us so much, and we're sorry.
It is funny, but don't look at this and say, hey, good things are happening with smart people in government. No, this is more like Senator Palpatine chastising Count Dooku.
Well, we got our thumbnail. All right. I don't know if I'm going to skip the TrueCrypt article, even though it's pretty cool.
Yeah, all it is their money is being raised to audit TrueCrypt because not a lot is known about where TrueCrypt came from. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people use TrueCrypt and trust it implicitly.
Yes, I use TrueCrypt and trust it implicitly. So
this is kind of cool. For a minute. Oh, it's time to talk about hardware. My voice got really weird for a minute. I'm just doing a Tobuscus thing. Hardware.
That's the L81. It does that to you. It's awesome. You need another.
Another one of these?
Well, it'll cancel out the effects of the first one.
Oh.
No, it won't.
I'll be talking in funny voices and playing video games, and our audience will be 12 years old. And we'll get 400 million hits.
Your hair is glowing in the dark.
Hey, they made roads that do that. Well, that coming up in a moment. Intel has delayed mass production of the next processor by a quarter, and it's because of the yields.
Well, they say they've already fixed it, but we don't know if we believe them.
Well, even then, they said they did say they fixed it, but it's still going to delay things about a quarter. But the yields are not up to snuff.
The guy did say that they have demoed laptops that are on 16-nanometer process. Now, did we crack that open and take a look? No, but, we probably should because we can't trust Intel.
You said 16 or 14?
Or 16?
14.
14 nanometer. Yeah.
Well, they're also saying that on the horizon we can see $99 tablets, $299 Haswell notebooks, and $349 hybrid devices.
I would like all of those things now, please.
And especially if they're Haswell-based. Haswell, low power, and low power and then high speed. That'd be nice.
Well, the Bay Trail Atom is supposed to be a single core that's on par in terms of computational performance clock for clock with Haswell. And if that happens, ARM high-end, on the high end of things, may have something to worry about.
A single core? I've not read about this yet.
Yeah, it's a Bay Trail, I think, something that's on the 16-nanometer process, but they're aiming for like 1 watt x86.
I want a quad core of that.
Well, that would be 4 watts then.
Yeah, I'll take 4 watts. That's fine. The next Linux kernel is out. Ubuntu is the new version. What is it, 13.10? Someone's going to yell at me.
13.10, yes.
I did it! I can't think of anything other than the fact that I can't see straight because of this stupid stuff. Maybe it's also the glasses that I was wearing at the beginning of the video that are not mine. So their cards got an unexpected boost from the latest Linux kernel. So that's really cool, especially since we've got Steam coming on the horizon with the Steam box and all. That's going to be Linux powered, so it'll be nice with the extra boost in power, and things are moving in the right direction. It's not in here. I forgot about the article, but so NVIDIA had their big announcement, right? And they announced what was the big thing? The G-Sync.
Yeah, G-Sync.
So I didn't bring up an article of this, but I'll chat about G-Sync for just a second. So it's different than V-Sync in the fact that it's G and not a V. So anyway, AMD set up across. That's all. I'm just going to leave it with that. There's articles on the website, but AMD set up across the street with their 290X, their R290X, or their R9 290X, and they were benchmarking that against a 780. The 290X was fast, and the 780 was not overclocked, so could have been faster. The results may have been a little bit lame because of that, but that's kind of ridiculous that they would do that. And I guess it's guerrilla marketing. I mean, you think this was a nice thing to do, or?
I think that NVIDIA has been caught with their hand in the cookie jar so many times that AMD really should get a pass on this one.
Yeah. Did we just mention something about Origin PC not carrying AMD products anymore?
That's a very small footnote on a very large list.
I just want to put these two in the ring and just watch them go at it. Jensen Hong with someone from AMD that will get their butt whooped.
NVIDIA fights dirty, though. So, I mean, it's like,
They're ninjas or something. I don't know. There'd be a few ninjaries going on.
But the big deal with G-Sync is that the refresh rate on the monitor is dynamic. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a frame drop to 30 FPS, the video card tells the monitor when to display the frame. So theoretically, even at very low FPS, you never have frame tearing or anything like that.
It pretty much removes all of the problems that you need V-Sync for, but V-Sync locks the frame rate. So now you'll be able to not have tearing and have fluidity. It's all about fluidity.
It's about a variable frame rate, in other words, which is interesting.
With a variable frequency on the monitor.
Yes.
Blue glowing star path. Instead of lighting the street from the top, why don't you just light the damn street? Glow in the dark streets. Here's the way this works. There are what are the photophores or what? That's like
there's
sea anemones.
Ultraviolet light that's absorbed by the road during the day and then emitted at night, which is pretty genius.
Yeah, so they said ultraviolet particles which turn blue in the sun sets.
Yeah, so they're the particles that absorb ultraviolet light and convert it into visible light, or emit the energy as visible light when they're not absorbing ultraviolet light.
So imagine these things like all over the place in the forested areas of a city. Can you imagine how cyberpunk that would look? Like,
it would be pretty awesome.
Central Park with roads like this, like all the trees, the blue roads glowing, and then the rest of the city lit up in the background. That would look weird. Kind of cool, though.
Probably pretty safe, too, and not artificial light, not really. It'd be tremendous energy savings. I mean, a huge amount of our energy budget on a yearly scale goes to lighting our highways and roads and cities.
So they track us everywhere we go. They track us with cameras. They can listen to us, wherever there's a microphone. And now they can look at us through the walls because the geniuses at MIT decided it would be a good idea to introduce this technology on the world. No, it's cool technology, but you can track people through walls with this. You guys can check out this video here if you're interested. It's kind of creepy, kind of eerie, kind of like Perfect Dark.
This is the kind of thing that we sort of warned our viewers about, because if you read into all the rulings about, like you emit things and you leave a footprint here and you leave a footprint there and blah, blah, blah. This type of thing is exactly the same kind of thing. And if you look at the arguments the judges have been ruling in favor, this type of surveillance would also be legal under the current law.
I mean, but it's cool technology, though.
It is cool technology, but, it might be good for use overseas, but domestically on citizens, for somebody that's suspected of having, used their water rations to water the lawn or, pirated a movie or whatever, no.
Well, they've been working for a while, the different scientists. We're talking about the Bionic Man for just a second because they've been working on some technology for a while now to cut off one head and then fuse that onto a different body. They've been working on that. And this is kind of everything but the head. So now they have a Bionic Man working with artificial body parts, but they're actual organs, limbs and whatnot, all put together into a robot here. So sort of like it's like a biological robot made out of human bits that they made themselves. Is that what this is?
This is like a really ghetto version of what they did in Bicentennial Man.
So after they figure out how to transplant heads onto bodies, maybe in the near future, we'll be able to cut our heads off and put them onto robot bodies.
I don't think that's going to work until we have, nanoscale robots to go in and repair the nerves, because the nerves aren't going to repair themselves.
20 years.
I mean, you'd have to do the brain stem and all the nerves.
Well,
and all
they
the
already did
connections.
this with a monkey. And he was alive for a little while, then he died. But he was alive.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably transplant somebody's head, but they're going to have, the nerve situation is going to be really bad.
They would be a nervous wreck. Literally.
They would be a wrecked bundle of nerves.
On this same line, we're going to get into some video games here, but Britain's most read paper started talking about, like the future of technology and what it looks like. And I guess I should say the name of the paper. It's the Sun over there. I didn't know that was the most read paper, but I guess the Sun is the most read paper.
I don't think so.
Yeah. According to PC Gamer, it is.
It's probably ahead of the Daily Mail.
That
rag?
that rag? Read that swill, your eyes will fall out. So anyway.
Have another L81, that'll happen anyway.
So anyway, in that they were talking about like bionic eyes, and they said that Seraph Industries in the United States is already working on a bionic eye.
What?
Yes, they have a picture from Deus Ex. I guess some genius over there watched the video and didn't realize it was a video game, guerrilla ad campaign.
Oopsie.
Seriously, guys? Fire everybody. Fire them all. DLC for Borderlands 2 for Halloween. You guys can fight a pumpkin if you want. Fight giant pumpkins. I don't know. There's a lot of really interesting DLC. Have you played the Origins mod for DayZ?
I have not yet, but I've heard that it's really good.
It's supposed to be really good, and the latest update adds ghosts.
Wow.
Ghosts. I guess it's just in time for Halloween. So if you want some more spooky games to play, I have not played this myself, so I cannot endorse it. Unless say I was paid to endorse it, in which case I would have to endorse it because I have no soul. Is that how this works?
Yes, that is exactly how this works.
No, I can't endorse it, but if you guys want to check out something spooky, have a look at that.
Or played Cataclysm. Cataclysm is amazing.
I haven't played that either.
Well, it's a text adventure. It's not for most people. It's pretty. That's pretty hipster of me. It's like you wouldn't like it. It's a text adventure, but it's not a real text adventure. It's like a rogue style text adventure. But it's like DayZ, and it has crafting and stuff. So
you've probably never heard of it.
No, most of the audience has not heard of it.
But we're recommending it. We're not trying to be superior. We're saying, hey, check it out if you're into text adventures like Zork.
Not Zork.
No?
Rogue.
Oh, Rogue. Okay.
It's a roguelike on steroids with DayZ.
Watch Dogs has been delayed until 2014. This is like the game I wanted to play most this year. Now it's the game I want to play most in 2014. It's delayed until spring of 2014. It makes me very sad. The game looked awesome. It looked like everything I wanted Deus Ex to be.
Well, in fairness, the gameplay that they demoed did look pretty near impossible because there's so much stuff there going on.
And I don't know what hardware they're running it on, probably 7 Titans or whatever, but it looks like it needs a beefy CPU too.
Well, I mean, how would you build the interface that actually makes it like it would be really hard to build a natural, easy to learn interface to do all of those things. Because that's one of the things that makes Cataclysm amazing is that it's got this really deep, detailed thing, but it's turn-based. And so multiplayer and stuff like that is really hard, and I can't imagine doing turn-based with an FPS.
Gotta love turn-based. Well, like Fallout did turn-based with the VAT system. That was kind of worked.
That did kind of work. That was clever and a new invention, and I didn't see anything that seemed like
or
new
a new
invention.
take on the old Fallout invention, but it was I've never before in an FPS. Let's talk about a couple things that have been added to Steam. Streaming has been implemented in Steam.
Well, as a tendency to drive costs down and things like that, they'll want to move toward a central household server with generic CPU and GPU capabilities and then applying it to the video game console or the living room or movies.
Just go wherever you want and play whatever you want.
Exactly.
All of it running on one magical box of technology in a room somewhere in your house.
Well, that's the only thing that people are going to be able to afford after the economic collapse of the United States.
Foreshadowing. Let's take a look at the Steam Machine prototype here with a Titan. So I guess there's going to be like a riser or whatever sticking into your PCI Express, like a right angle adapter, so that the graphics card can lay down flat. And then it'll be all in a box that's just slightly a few centimeters higher than what you're looking at right here in this photo.
Yeah, there's some home theater OEMs that are making home theater PCs like this, and except for the heat, it works really well.
You know, we can go online and order those right angle PCI Express adapters. I saw a bunch of them on Alibaba and stuff.
Yes, there was a really popular wall mount computer that somebody did, and they mounted all their video cards vertically on the wall, and they used the PCI Express extenders in order to do it.
Yeah, it was like those are the cords, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need more of that kind of stuff going into systems. Like, we need some ITX systems that come with those so that you can mount your GPU in a very strange spot and then better take advantage of the space. And also, that would allow for a much larger heatsink. Just some things to think about out there, OEM vendors and whatnot.
I could see OEMs having a real problem with a particular set of drivers when the PCI Express lanes are like 3 inches longer. It's like, oh, we didn't plan for that. Crash.
If you want to win the Mionix AVR 8200 mouse, here's what you do. Click on the screen and that'll take you to our forum. Then, once you're there, I want you to name something that you rarely see on a mouse, or maybe it's something that you never see on a mouse. It can be a feature, it can be a button, it can be a unicorn that pops out of the back and makes you a salad. I don't care what it is, but name something that you rarely or never see on a mouse that you would love to see on a gaming mouse. Give us some feedback in the comments, and I will randomly select one person to award the Mionix AVR 8200 ambidextrous gaming mouse. So yeah, we did a tech in the middle of the night. And that's pretty much the end.
I think we've got one more coming up in this format. But
before I leave town. It's still rolling. That thing is awesome, isn't it?
Yep.
Still going.
40 minutes.
Yay!
Yay.
Down to 30 something.
41.
And do not forget, October 26th, Washington, D.C. Let's go and yell and scream and, hang out with Will Wheaton and all those guys.
Hopefully not make it onto a watch list. Hopefully I'll still be able to fly.
Be sure to get one of those shirts. And I'll give you guys $5. And then I burped instead of saying bye. Goodbye.